All right, guys, let's get started. Today's discussion, the evolution of Krav Maga and its current state. The reason why I wanted to do this is I feel there's a lot of misconception about Krav Maga. There's a lot of misrepresentation of Krav Maga. And there's a lot of things I'd like to share about it that I think a lot of people know. So we're going to start kind of from the beginning and work our way to our current state today. All right. Krav Maga, for those of you who don't know, was founded by Imi Lichtenfeld, or Zdeo, as it was his name in Israel. He was born in Bratislava. He was a son of a police officer. He was a martial artist. And what happened was that during the rise of fascism, he would defend his Jewish community from local fascist gangs that would come and harass and try to hurt and beat people. Now, what he started realizing really quick, because he was a boxer, a wrestler, just an all-around martial artist, so you could say a mixed martial artist, one of the first, that some things in martial arts are great. Some things are not the smartest to apply on the street when there's concrete, when there's multiple attackers, so on. So that got his wheels started. Of course, he had a lot of experience fighting in the street, and then he was able to get that mindset going. Now he immigrated to Israel and very quickly became kind of a lead hand-to-hand instructor in the what's called Haganah, and then later it became the IDF as the country was formed, and he was in charge of combatives and fitness training in the IDF. We have a famous base in Israel called Wingate, which is actually, it's two places. It's the military base, and in the same area there's also the academic college and the Wingate Institute, which are all separate entities, just so you guys know. There's 3 Wingates, okay? So he started teaching in the IDF, obviously trained different units, applied the training specifically towards the military, right? He wasn't teaching civilians then, he was teaching soldiers. So he had to train these people very, very quickly and to be as efficient as possible, as quickly as possible. You know, we're talking about maybe 20, 30, 40 lessons of Krav Maga. That's it. You know, some units obviously train a lot more, some specialized units that deal with a lot more face-to-face with people deal with that, but he was training soldiers. What do they need to know? They need to learn basic weapons defenses, they need to learn basic combatives, they need to learn weapon retention, and that's about it. So that's what they train. Obviously a big part of Krav Maga training, at least I don't know how it was exactly back then, is aggression as well. Aggression and mindset and discipline. That's another thing that's very quickly instilled. For those of you that don't know, you know, in most special forces units in the IDF, most infantry that also go through this training, it's not, 8 o'clock we have Krav Maga. It's, you get woken up in the middle of the night and you have 7 minutes or whatever your commanders give you. For us it was always 7 minutes to get dressed, be with all equipment ready in the Krav Maga room or wherever we're having the training. So it teaches you, first of all, to go to have that from 0 to 100 as fast as possible. And you know, on occasions our Krav Maga room was half a kilometer or a kilometer away from where we're sleeping in a lot of situations. So you can imagine how quickly you had to get up, get dressed, put your shoes on, and bolt and be ready. So that was one. And of course, the training started with discipline. It wasn't, oh cool, today we're going to learn this and a nice warm-up. It was, you get there, you're already out of breath, and we're going to sprint until you guys can stand straight and do things exactly as you're told, and so on. And then after that, you work a little bit of technique, you know, aggression and sparring and so on and so forth. So Krav Maga in the military, in the IDF, is very, 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 very different than what most of you probably experienced in your local Krav Maga gyms, if you have. Around the 60s is when Imi kind of, I believe, left the army and started teaching civilians. His first gym was actually, I believe, in Netanya, in my hometown, and he was training all kinds of martial arts, and he started adapting his system through it. And already then, you know, once he started having senior students, they started splitting off on their own and doing their own thing and so on. That was kind of the first kind of split. You know, in the 80s, there was also a big push to get Krav Maga internationally, and that's when Krav Maga worldwide was probably formed around there, late 80s, early 90s, I believe. That's with Darren Levine, and he kind of did a good job of spreading it around the United States and making it the premier organization here in the United States. And obviously a bunch of other organizations split off of that and started their own thing in the US as well. Now, in around 2010, I believe, 2011, 2000, I don't remember the exact time, there was a big organization internationally, which is called the International Krav Maga Federation, IKMF. They still exist today. And they were headed up by, I believe, 4 masters. They were Master Gabi Noach, Master Yalyanilov, Master Avi Moyal, and another one, Eli, I don't remember his last name, but he kind of retired. And they had a big argument in between themselves. As always, any organization, there's politics. They split up to a few other organizations. Those are International Krav Maga and Krav Maga Global, which is a fairly large one nowadays. And obviously, guys, there's a million other organizations nowadays. Some are good, some are bad, some are, I don't know. All over Europe, the world, and everywhere. Every time people ask me, do you know this instructor? Do you know this organization? I'm like, it's one of 1,000, one of several thousand. So, everyone is a master nowadays. But part of the problem of this entire split and this whole process is lack of standardization. And this is something I want to track back to. So when you had one organization in Israel, all the curriculum was controlled, modified, and improved, and the certification process so on was all done through the Wingate Institute for the civilian side of Krav Maga. For military, it's completely different. The military runs its own training, its own curriculum, completely different certification. But for civilians, which is probably relevant for most of you guys watching, it was all run through the Wingate Institute. So they would all go together through the curriculum, through everything, through teaching methodology, through all those things together. Now, what happened when those organizations split, obviously, you couldn't run a Wingate course for Krav Maga because now there is 8 different Krav Maga organizations and everyone wants to do things their own way and so on. So Krav Maga lost its standardization. Now, from the get-go, it's, you can't really standardize curriculum because in the end, everything is built upon, let's say, combat experience, and then whatever instructor input that people get. It's not like, when you have competition and people can see what works in that competition in real life and then and there. So a lot of things, they're in the curriculum. They might be good, they might be bad. You don't really know. It's really that instructor's input. And with that standard, little by little, because people want to make money, the standards started getting lower and lower. And we're talking about nowadays 2-day instructor certifications, people that should not even be instructors becoming instructors, people with very little experience, don't have any other experience in other martial arts, don't train in anything else. Just, they're kind of good, and let's make them be an instructor because we need more people teaching classes. So those problems started arising. And what happened? Okay, there's a whole lot of Krav Maga nowadays, and the standard is very, very low. It's always, that quantity versus quality type of effect. With that being said, it's also a good thing because, hey, I have experience in X, Y, and Z. Besides Krav Maga, I can take my Krav Maga and improve it because I know this will work better, that will work better. For example, let's give it simplest thing. One thing we used to teach, or I used to teach, is, for example, for knees, just to grab the tricep, and go for knees. But if you have any jiu-jitsu experience, you know that if you throw a knee up there, hey, guess what? They're going to get you in a single leg and throw you to the ground in a second. They don't even have to know jiu-jitsu. That's just a very natural thing, is to grab that knee. So guess what? That clinch is not the smartest idea. Hey, me as someone that's straight outside of that, I'm going to go and try to improve that technique and try to improve it, make it better. So that's a good thing about it. But obviously a bad thing is that your average person that's entering into Krav Maga is not going to know this information. So they enter into school XYZ with an instructor that did a 2-day certification. Guess what? That's going to be a problem. They might be learning some bullshit They might be getting injured because that person has no idea how to properly and safely teach a class. You know, and those are the things that kind of concern me as someone that's been doing this for a very, very long time. It's something that's very, very problematic, I think, nowadays, and I think a lot of people are getting injured and hurt and wasting their time more than anything to learn Krav Maga, where they could be even better off just going in for self-defense reasons, learning Jiu-Jitsu, learning Muay Thai, where they're gonna learn with someone that's done some competition and knows what fighting really looks like. So that's something that we want to think about. And kind of tying into that, I'm seeing more and more people lose kind of what reality is in fighting and what reality is in self-defense, and kind of losing the true essence of Krav Maga. Why? Once again, that lower standard, that lack of experience that people have going into it with no other background, no other training. Guess what? You're gonna think you're teaching people the ultimate technique, but guess what? It's just not that. And I've seen this in different schools around the country. I've seen this internationally with people post, and it's a sad thing to see in the end, you know, because the purpose of Krav Maga is to teach people how to defend themselves, not to make you feel good about yourself, not to live in a dream world where the techniques are magic, but to really know how to fight and know how to defend yourself. And we're losing that in the Krav Maga world because the standards are getting so low, because everyone decides to open their organization, because people are entering into it without having the proper skill and mindset to actually teach the system. And that's it. Now, the one thing I want to say is, of course, I told you guys all these things. So how are you, as the student or as an instructor, how can you improve the situation? One, go train in other system, cross-train. Go train Jiu-Jitsu, go train Muay Thai, go train kickboxing, go train Judo. Learn from those people. They're experts in their respective fields, okay? There's not a Krav Maga instructor I can grab against a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that's going to have a good time. Okay, you got to go out there and learn and cross-train and improve your skills as much as possible. It's going to give you the right mindset. Two, hey, guess what? I understand everyone didn't have military service, not everyone's in the police. You don't have that background. Hey, sign up for a jiu-jitsu competition. Sign up for a mixed martial arts competition. Sign up for something where someone is actually trying to hurt you and you have to defend yourself, not nice in class sparring. And that's going to be a way for you to really know and understand. And for you guys as students, do your research, right? You know, just because they pop up on Google as the first search doesn't mean that they're best schools. It just means they have good SEO, search engine optimization. So go out there and do your research. Who's this instructor? What's their background? How long have they been training? What other experience do they have? Do they have any field experience? Do they have competition experience? What's their certification process? You know, do you really want to learn for someone that did a 2-day certification to be an instructor? Probably not. You know, the certification right now for a civilian instructor in Israel is a month long if you're doing 8 hours a day, and about 4 months if you're doing it twice a week. Okay, that's anatomy, that's physiology, that's sports science, understanding how to build a class, how to warm up people, how to deal with people with different injuries, and so on. So you got to do your research, guys, and be smart about who you're going to train with. Okay, guys, I'm going to leave it at that today. As always, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, shoot me a DM, shoot me an email, shoot me a text, whatever you prefer. A lot of courses coming up, guys. Combat Pistol at the end of this month. Combat Pistol Krav Maga, the fun one. October, we have Tavor Operator and Rifle Fundamentals. So lots of stuff coming up. Full schedule is up. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great rest of your night.